Hello lovely YouTube people, welcome to our character profile of Aidan Connor, which was taken, the first part of it, from Conversation Street episode 263.
Yes, this was a couple of years into Aidan's time on Coronation Street, and little did we know at the time of recording that he'd only have 1 year left on the programme.
Yes.
We should have just waited, really.
So there is a trigger warning here. If you are going to be triggered by suicide, please do not listen to this, because that's what happens to the character at the end of this story. So we'll talk about his first foray into being in Coronation Street, and then we'll come back after the original to fill you in on what happened to Aidan in the end.
Yes, so without further ado, here comes our original character profile of Aidan for episode 263. Okay, right, we're going to do a character profile on Aidan. We said we were going to do it last week, but we were too tired. I'm still a bit tired, but I'm not too tired to talk about lovely Aidan this week.
I'm never too tired to entertain Aidan Connor, one of my favourite Connors.
That's because you are used to going to bed late.
Yeah.
I am not. Right, Aidan. His dad is Johnny. His mum was called Louise.
Oh.
His sister is Kate, and he's also Carla's half-brother as well, of course. And he's been in it for almost 2 years now. It's his 2-year anniversary next week. 21st of August 2015, and he has made... Oh no, this is wrong. It was 246 episodes when he was in it last week, so it's, a bit more than that.
Maybe
Let's say
250.
251. I guess he's been in it for a week.
That's pretty good.
Who's played by Shane Ward, of course,
Shane
of
Ward.
X Factor fame. I remember...
did you listen to us talking about him when he came in? Because I didn't.
Yeah.
I thought you said
no, I didn't. No, we haven't talked about him before. No, 2015, 12th of May was when it was first announced, and we never watched him on the X Factor or anything, did we? But we knew of him, and it was a pop star casting, which could
what
always.
Was he in?
He was in the X Factor.
Did we watch it when he was in it?
I don't think so. No,
because I don't watch the X.
We haven't watched. We used to watch that kind of thing.
No, but I never liked them.
No, but I was a little bit worried about having someone who but I can't remember he'd done like stage roles and stuff as well. But it was like
yeah. But the thing is, though, Kim Marsh has proven that you can get away with it. I'm gonna say.
Oh yeah, so did Keith Duffy as well, didn't they? There has been a history of
rich history of
pop
singers.
Stars.
Yeah, but also think about people like who's Vera's husband?
Jack,
yeah. Bill Tarmy.
Yeah, he's musical. And old Betty,
Rita,
wasn't she?
And Betty. All those people were like song and dance hall stars
Doesn't
of
mean they can't
yesteryear.
act.
It's in keeping with Corrie's rich tradition of hiring songbirds.
I guess so, but you do kind of get worried if it's an unknown actor, if it's a well-proven actor like Richard Hawley or whatever. You think, it's probably going to be fine.
Of course they would be fine if they are an actor. Yeah, but like if they're just I'm a celebrity, I don't know. Yeah, you're right. Anyway, so
he's Mancunian Irish as well, is Shane? Just
as
like,
well as who? Me?
Just like Aidan.
What?
Aidan
they
and
are,
Shane
aren't they? The
both
Connors, they're all Irish.
A little bit Irish. I've got a quote from when he was cast. He says, "On hearing the news, I've been offered the part on the show. I was in total disbelief. It still hasn't sunk in. Shane Ward, the lad from Manchester, given such a role on such an iconic show. It's an absolute dream come true. I'm excited to walk down these famous cobbles." And apparently his arrivals would set female hearts fluttering. So not only was
That's very heteronormative.
Yeah, he was brought in as a one of the lads. Somebody who...
Not one of the lads, a heartthrob.
Yeah, well, yeah,
I wouldn't say one of the lads and being a heartthrob's the same thing.
I suppose not. It was just like, they have to announce them every few years, don't they? Like, Ryan Connor's gone. On the street. Rob's gone.
New piece of meat for all you women to fawn over.
Stuart Blackburn said
that
when Shane came in and auditioned, we knew he was up against some very stiff competition. But he blew us away from the very get-go, delivering a charm and a swagger that is perfect for the character. I can't wait to see him in action. I think he is. He does play the character very well. I think his acting has got better since. You were never a mega fan of Aidan, weren't you?
No.
Do you like him more now?
I don't like him. I think he's a dog.
Yeah, but do you think that he has proved his acting chops for you?
Yeah.
Because I think he's absolutely fine.
He's fine. I don't want to talk about it. It's not. No, I don't see the point of talking about it. Really, what? I'm not going to say anything glowing, and I'm not going to say anything terrible.
Well, I think he's good.
Good.
I think he's doing a grand job.
Good, yeah. Well, I mean, what else can you ask for? He's not being given anything particularly that he can do much with.
Yeah.
At the moment, he has. He's been given more of a bigger role, but it's not like he's been given, like, my dead baby's being beach is being invaded.
You got to be in the show for 10 years before you get that.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate. That's like the final question on the.
Have you
on
had
the exam.
have you claimed a beach for your dead child?
Yeah.
In which case you can say you've had at least one good scene.
Now this little fact I found was quite interesting to me. Apparently, Brian McFadden from Westlife also says that he was approached for a Coronation Street role around the same time, but then he had to turn it down due to work commitments, and he thinks that he would have been given the role of Aidan.
Does he now?
Yes, so he could almost
I do
have
not
Brian
know who
McFadden.
that is.
He's some blonde Westlife
I'm going to
singer.
look him up.
I'm glad we didn't get him because
Fadden.
as an ex, well, you know, I used to like
I
Spice
don't
Girls.
even know this one. Oh.
Yeah, I used to like Spice Girls, obviously, and then Westlife came along, a bit of rivals to the pop crown. So I wouldn't have liked having a Westlife person in my soap.
Fair to say that he is not one of the most famous ones in Westlife?
I can't.
Who's the main one?
I don't think there is a main one. No, I
think
think that Brian McFadden's...
Every band, Michael, every band's got the main one, the fat one, the gay one, and the one that's never in anything.
I don't know what any Westlife are called apart from... No, if you... Oh, I don't know. Anyway.
I don't recognise any of them.
Let's talk about Aidan. So...
Is this really Westlife?
Yes,
is that what they look like?
That is what Westlife look like. Don't make the viewers wonder.
What songs do they do?
I don't care. Let's not talk about Westlife.
Backstreet Boys are different to Westlife,
yes,
right?
Put your phone down and let's talk about Aidan.
Oh, I don't recognise any of these. I recognise... Is that him?
Maybe. I
don't know.
That? I don't know. They all look the same to me.
That looks like... should have stayed at the party, Maxine.
Who? Richard Hillman?
Yeah.
No, he doesn't.
Yes, he does.
Richard Hillman's not in
a young
Westlife.
Richard Hillman.
Right, anyway, so Aidan was brought up with Kate alongside his cousins Michelle and Liam and Paul.
Dead.
Yeah, they're all dead. And Carla Connor Donovan, local girl, and her half brother Rob. So they're all in some little commune together, weren't they?
And really, out of all of them, it's sad to say that Michelle's done the best for herself. Definitely.
Now, he didn't know, of course, that Carla was actually his half sister because his dad Johnny had a one-night stand with her mum Sharon. So Christmas 1993, this is when the affair all came out. So she tells Louise. Louise runs out the house straight into the path of oncoming traffic and dies. So a bit of a tragic start for Aidan.
Retconning, let's not forget that Johnny is suffering from MS at the time and didn't see the car out of one of his eyes.
Because it gives you a funny...
You can't see out of one of your eyes.
Yeah, exactly. So Johnny and Aidan and Kate move away in an attempt... Well, Johnny doesn't want people to find out about this Carla stuff, so they bog off somewhere.
2015, they moved to Weatherfield because Nick got in touch to help Carla out of her financial hole.
Yeah, this is after Carla had gone, down the Swanee after... It was after the Victoria Court fire, wasn't it? And then she does all her gambling, and so looks like the factory's going to go under. So
he buys a 40% share in Underworld, and it seems like he's the big I am.
Yes.
He moves in with Michelle and Steve in the Rovers, and then Johnny and Kate arrive after the fact, and it turns out that Aidan stole money from Johnny to buy the factory shares.
He kind of gets away with it quite easily, doesn't he?
He absolutely gets away with it 100%.
Yeah. Nice of Johnny, really. Forgiving and all that.
Rob's in prison and tries to blackmail Johnny, threatening to reveal the truth about Carla unless he gets money. So Johnny has to come clean to his kids who disown him. Yeah,
nice bit of family conflict just to introduce new people together.
The reason I didn't like the Connors at this point was because they came out of nowhere. I am actually sick of Connors on the show, just breeding like rabbits in the background and just arriving like they own the place when actually they're one of the youngest families on the street.
Yeah, Stuart Blackburn really wanted to make the Connors a bigger part of the show, didn't he?
And I think
there seems to be more Connors than there are of any other.
Exactly.
That's the most common surname on the show now. You're right.
And
it's quite a recent one.
The other thing I don't like is that this was the beginning of the end of Carla being an interesting character. As soon as the Connors arrived, this is when she started going probably downhill and being boring until they kicked her out of the show.
Yeah, but I don't think it was to do with the Connors. It was more to do with the Tracy stuff.
We didn't need her to have a family. We didn't need to find out that she's related to the Connors.
Yeah,
it's weird.
It was fairly inconsequential in the end, wasn't it?
It is just, it's all, and the Connors are all so incestuous. It's like, you know how everyone laughs about the fact that at some point everybody on the street will have dated somebody else who's the same sort of age bracket as them.
Yeah.
It seems like if you're a Connor or related to the Connors, at some point you would have shagged or married one of them. Because, I mean, she's a half-sister of Kate and Aidan, and they're cousins with Liam and Paul. So she basically shagged her own cousins because she married...
She married Paul, didn't she?
Yeah.
And did she marry Liam?
I thought she did. Michelle married Liam. No, yeah, Maria did.
Maria did.
It's too confusing, these Connors. You can't write down their family tree because it just goes round in circles.
Didn't he get knocked down by the car on the stag night? Or was that... No,
yeah,
that was
she had
Tony's,
a baby.
No, that was Tony's stag night. I'm not remembering
Maria's got Liam Jr., hasn't she?
Yeah, she has. Anyway, Aidan Aidan had a date with Sarah at the end of 2015, and I thought that they were going to make a bit of a couple of them, but it didn't really turn into anything.
She made a show of herself, didn't she?
Yeah, she does.
So he ends up spending New Year's snogging Eva, and then gets a drink thrown over him when she found out that Kate has bet him he will sleep with her.
Yeah. So 2016, he was a bit of a hero because he's the one that punched Richie O'Driscoll, who was the slave owner.
Owned Polish slaves.
Yeah.
Not a Polish slave owner. That's different.
And he also attracted the attention of Sinead because was he the one that kind of got her into the modelling and everything, and she thought that
she makes a pass at him when she's drunk.
Yeah.
It seems like he's very attractive if you're drunk.
All the girls fancy him
when they're drunk,
including Maria. Now Maria drunk. Has apparently known him for years as well because she's also a Connor, and he ends up sleeping with her.
This is why Connors are all disgusting.
I think it was kind of funny.
Jenny should watch out what she's getting herself in for.
It was kind of funny to have two Connors sleeping with each other. It's a bit different, isn't it? That's the thing when your family's so...
Randy?
No, when it's so wide stretching, you can have this kind of thing. Well, I don't know whether they've had this...
My family is incredibly small, so I cannot say I really sympathise. There's absolutely no chance of me accidentally sleeping with a member of my family because basically it's my mum and dad. And that's all that's left.
Yeah, this is when Aidan started turning into a bit more of a, well, not of a villain, but not a character that's all round kind of a perfect Mr. Nice Guy, which he was a little bit before. He was always a bit of a lad.
He was a bit of a thief, wasn't he? He stole a load of money.
But then Johnny forgave him for that, so he
kind of got rehabilitated,
well.
didn't he?
But yeah, when he started going out with Eva and when he was saving the day with this whole O'Driscoll fiasco, he was kind of a nice guy and he was very popular with a certain demographic of Coronation Street viewers as well, and very popular, and everyone, he was there to be fancied and to set the female hearts afluttering.
I'm not going to criticise anything about the way he looks because it's not fair, but I will say his shirts are too tight. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, he says it as well. I think he put a tweet out.
They need to stop giving him tight shirts.
But I think again, a certain demographic like to see his
I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not saying anything.
I think he's gonna come through this at the end of the day anyway. He'll be fanciable forever, even though he's a bit of a dog.
Well, I guess that's what you think.
No, it's not what I think. I think that
you fancy him forever. You've just said it.
I think that the girls that fancied Aidan beforehand probably still fancy him now, and they're being quite forgiving in how he's treating Eva, just because they're blinded by, their lust for him. But you're obviously not in that demographic, so that's not you. He was also a bit more of a hero when he tracked down Kaz as well, wasn't he? He was going back and forth between being a dirty dog and being a hero. So when last year when Kaz faked her own murder, he was the one that found her, trapped her down in the factory, and then chased her down and everything. And he also then sorted out Maria with a good lawyer, because this was when Kaz pretended that Maria had killed her. And Eva didn't realise this, of course.
Absolutely made sense from beginning to end.
Eva just thought that Aidan was being extra nice. So when Maria got released after Kaz was caught, they carried on their little secret affair, but then Maria got banged up again because of the whole marrying
illegal...
foreign Johnny,
yeah.
and then Aidan was then overheard by Jenny talking to Johnny about the affair, which is still kind of her trump card, isn't it? She still knows that there's something going on with Aidan. This is another reason why I didn't like Aidan at the end of the year. Not only was he messing Eva around, he's
messing Jenny around.
Well, yeah,
threatening our girl.
He suddenly, out of nowhere at Christmas, I felt it was out of nowhere, started accusing her of being a gold digger and sort of generally being nasty about her and bitching
it's
about
an
her.
obviously easy thing to throw at somebody who doesn't have money. He's marrying somebody that does have money, isn't it?
Yeah, so it just helps solidify me not to like him.
Never had to worry about that when I married you.
No, he is a bit of a love to hate though, because I don't really mind him that much.
Right, he's the love to hate character, but you don't mind him. Okay.
Yeah, love to don't mind.
Don't mind him at all. He's like Marmite in that you don't mind it.
Yeah. So Eva's getting excited this year because she thought that Aidan was going to propose. Obviously he was not.
Well, he was buying jewellery and things, but it turned out he was buying an anklet for Maria the jailbird.
Yeah.
So she proposes to him in an elaborate Mexican
themed,
sexy Mexi themed party, and Adam photographs Maria and Aidan snogging. He gets
he thinks it's
blackmailed.
Yeah, which is still ongoing, isn't it?
Yes. Well, he's given Adam all this money so he can open his business with Todd.
I want to know how much money he's actually got, because he was able to give Adam all this money.
Now
he's able to
run
buy
out
this
of it,
house. He's got the new TV. He's got the car. Like, how much money does Aidan have? I'm a bit jealous, especially considering the fact that when he came into the show a few years ago, he had to steal money from his dad. So he's obviously done very well for himself in the last 2 years.
It really doesn't add up. It really doesn't add up, because if he really had that much money, he would have a nicer flat. But he doesn't, because the Briars can't be bothered to move him into a nicer flat.
But they're saying, he's one of the most successful men on the streets, which means he's got an unlimited supply of money, it seems.
Yeah, but they're not consistent at all with like his living situation. That's the one thing that kind of annoys me about Corrie sometimes, is that they don't, the economics of Coronation Street never add up.
But even Johnny, he's only living in a flat, isn't he? You'd have thought that somebody like a rich factory owner would
have a house.
Yeah, but there's obviously no houses going spare. He should have Phelan's old house.
It really doesn't make any sense. We're divided geographically quite a lot in this country by how much money you earn. It's not like you have a street where there's a row of terraced houses and then a mansion at the end. Although that's what they're trying to do with developments now, isn't it? They put social housing in them. But it's not common at all to have such a great range of people living.
I suppose Mike lived in a flat, but he was like, other than the keys and everything, so it was a bit posher than Victoria Court.
I don't know.
I don't know. That's about it for Aidan, really. That's all he's done so far. We thought we'd have a bit of a character profile on him, but it turns out he's not done that much.
Do you think that they will make more housing in the new streets, in the new bits?
Yeah, I guess so. Because there do seem to be a lot of flats, don't they? It's like everyone's bursting. Yeah. Like, so many characters. The roster is just getting bigger and bigger, so they all just have to make them all live with each other and have all in flats. But yeah, maybe Aidan will move into a house, or Johnny will move into a house when they expand a little bit more. So he's won the best most popular newcomer National Television Award last year. He's done well for himself, hasn't he?
Yes.
Out of all the characters that have come into the show the past few years, Aidan has definitely made one of the biggest splashes.
He is a major character, isn't he? You can't deny that.
And I think the future's obviously is going to be quite bright for him if he stays in, and he's going to get over this whole affair thing.
I know. Do you think we're supposed to not like him, or supposed to like him?
Well,
I don't like him at all because he's having affairs, and I never liked him to begin with.
But do you enjoy watching the character? Do you enjoy scenes with him in? Because I would say that I quite do. I mean, I don't know whether it's because at the moment it also means Eva's in it, and I definitely like Eva.
Only when he's being... No, I don't...
He's not a character... He's not somebody like Anna.
If he left tomorrow, I wouldn't notice.
He's not a character like Anna, where I kind of die a little inside when she comes on screen, because I know there's going to be more misery. I think he's fitted into the ensemble of Coronation Street very, very well. Maybe if he did go, that you wouldn't notice. But there's loads of characters like that, isn't there? Because the cast is so big. If such and such a character would leave, it's like, oh well.
I think I'd rather see more of Kate than Aidan. I don't understand why, out of the two Connor children, he's the one that's got the way more attention on him, unless it's because the shine of him being Shane Ward is still an attraction for people to watch him in the show.
Well, I think that the fact that they made Kate a lesbian has meant that she can't get involved in these kinds of storylines as much. I know she can, but
it's limited.
Yeah, if she can't have people throwing themselves at her, like he's got women seemingly queuing up to get a piece of Aidan, you know.
Yeah.
So there's only a finite number of other characters that's gonna be interested in her. But he's just gonna be a lovable rogue. I mean, like Mike Baldwin couldn't keep it in his pants sometimes, and he people still liked him, and I think he is. I think he's one of these characters that people will generally forgive because he's a bit of a cheeky chappy, and I would say he's got a lot more going for him than the likes of Gary, who's another character that's a bit like him, just like a kind of a nice guy. When Gary comes on the screen, I'm like, oh, he's going to be a bit boring. He's just too nice. The fact that Aidan is generally he's a nice guy, but he's got this like naughty side.
Is he nice though? I don't know what his personality is.
He is. I think he's a nice guy.
He's boring.
I don't think he's boring. I think he's a nice guy. But he just makes some poor life choices.
What's his personality?
Cheeky chappy, lovable rogue. He's just a guy, isn't he? He's just one of the lads. He's not bland, which I think that.
I think he is.
Well, we'll have to agree to disagree
or get divorced.
Yeah,
whichever you prefer.
Do you think that? I think that he's probably got a long-term future in the show if he wants to. I think. Do you think he probably will take over the factory? Is that what the long-term plan for him is?
No.
I do hope not. I want Johnny to stay in charge of the factory. I think he's a really good factory boss. That following in the footsteps of Mike. And I'm not convinced that Aidan is good enough boss.
I don't want to rag on him, but you're kind of making me a little bit by forcing a microscope onto what I think about Aidan. But if I'm going to criticise him for anything, it's going to be that he's had everything handed to him on a silver platter as regard to his importance of his character, whereas there are other people who I find way more engaging and maybe are better acting that haven't really been in it as much. Like, for example, Shona. She's really way more interesting. I'd rather see more scenes with her in it, because not only is she a really engaging and charismatic actress, but she's also a way more interesting character with a lot more kind of like grey areas to her personality, whereas he is like, he sometimes sleeps around with pretty girls.
But you need a character like that in a soap as well, don't you?
Yeah, right.
But I don't like the idea of him being the sole owner of the factory. It's a bit like Toyo and Peter. I was going to say Toyo and Peter and the Rovers. It's that you need to earn it.
They haven't earned it.
But then Johnny didn't earn it either, did he?
Yeah, but we met him.
Johnny came in and he took over the factory.
Richard Crawley talked to us,
and I was like, he fits there. I was sad that Carla wasn't there anymore, even though I was, obviously let down by Carla at the end. I think that Johnny absolutely fills Mike Baldwin's boots quite nicely. He's not as a dodgy geezer as Mike was, but he strikes me. He has the gravitas of a factory boss, and I don't think Aidan has at the moment. Maybe he will in the future. I can just imagine that I can imagine Aidan taking charge of the factory when Johnny's condition deteriorates and running it to the ground.
Yeah.
Which could be quite interesting to see.
We needed to get this order out of.
No, but actually doing it and making the factory, because the factory is always threatened by, if this order doesn't go out, then we could
all die.
Yeah, but it always manages to pull through. If Aidan takes over and completely ruins it, that can be kind of interesting. Although, would they ever actually get rid of the factory? Because it means
they need a new business
half the
model.
Women cast will be unemployed. Yeah. Well, maybe it's time.
I said this before.
Yeah, we have. Let's
a cake company is what I want them to be.
Okay, so let's make Aidan take charge of the factory, be an absolutely rubbish boss, has to turn into something else, and maybe Kate can get that and she can open Kate's cakes.
Eccles cakes.
Right, so...
You done?
Yeah, I think we are done with Aidan. I think that is it. And we've got
Aidan,
news to talk about next. Aidan, I like him more than you do.
I give him 3 out of 5.
3 out of 5 what? Unbuttoned shirts. 3 out of 5 buttons done up on his shirt.
Yeah.
Right, let's move on.
Hard-working buttons.
There we go. So, Aidan, things not looking too great for him.
Nope.
By summer 2000. Although we did have 2 women on the go, so...
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
it could
2
be
birds
worse.
at once.
Yeah.
Living the dream.
So he was in it. He was in a bit of a knot, wasn't he? Really, because he was going out with Eva.
You said you didn't really like Eva.
What did I?
Yeah.
Did I say I didn't like Eva back then?
Didn't really
I haven't
like
listened to it since Gemma listened to this morning. I do like Eva. But I also, because I remember listening to the very end of it, I said that I liked Aidan more than you did.
Yeah.
So.
It is very interesting how quickly your opinion of a character can change sometimes.
Sometimes a story,
given,
literally one story can... I mean, we're seeing that a bit with Alia at the moment, aren't we? Like, it's still not quite working on me, but quite a lot of people have had a complete 180 on Alia because of the anti-Jeff stance that she's been taking in this Yasmin story, the coercive control story.
And I've had reason to say about a few actors on the show, I think it was fair to say that Shane Ward's performance was not particularly a standout one as Aidan Connor because he wasn't given that much to work with.
No, but really. It just went to show. Well,
but
we'll get there in a minute.
When he was given something, he really knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, he could have very easily been one of those characters. When we're doing the summary of him, it seems, before we even see what happens next, but he could have easily been one of these characters that disappears off the show after a few years and then is completely forgotten about.
Yeah.
But with the exit that he was given, he's cemented.
He's got a legacy.
He's got a total legacy, and his performance in those final months, really meant that's deserved.
Very impressive. Yeah.
So let's pick up from where we got to then. As I was saying, he was going out with Eva at the time and having an affair with Maria. Eva had found out that Aidan had been having this affair, hadn't she? So she starts to get a bit of a revenge come summer 2017. First off, she lies to him that she's pregnant, and he's just about to dump her for Maria, but he's like, I better not dump you if you're having my baby then. I'll keep on getting for 2 at once, that's fine, I'll see if I can deal with this. And then she carries on this revenge spree, which included basically spending all his cash on items, including, probably what's best remembered is the massive pink Range Rover that she bought.
Well, I am starting to wonder whether that was secretly Aidan's purchase that he blamed.
I don't think it was.
She's been listening. Is it Blue Cantrell?
What
song?
Oh yeah. Was it Go Like?
Hey ladies, if you fellas.
Oh yes.
Eva
hit him up.
Style. Yeah, hitting up style.
Yeah,
Get your hands on his cash.
She did.
And spend until the last dime for all the bad times.
She maybe ended up regretting it in the end. Let's see.
Yeah.
So Adam, who was also involved in this story, obviously caught Eva drinking, even though she was supposedly pregnant, and he realises, hang on a minute, I don't think you really got a baby, Eva. So
if only it was that simple.
He then blackmails her into giving her some of his vengeance cash so that he could basically
what did he do with the money?
I don't know.
He did invest it in his lawyer's office.
He has not done it at the lawyer's office. He's like, I'm going to work with you to bring down Aidan as long as I can have some of that sweet money. And so they do. They managed to trick Aidan into saying Eva can get her hands on the house just in case anything were to happen to him. She wouldn't get kicked out of it. And then just before the wedding, we don't find it out until after the wedding. They basically rip out the whole of Underworld, don't they? Which he's part owner of at the time.
Yeah, they take the roof off and eventually kill Rana.
Yes, yeah. This all happens on the day of the wedding between Aidan and Eva. I think just before Maria had found out about Eva's fake pregnancy, she'd found a load of old photos of fetuses that Ava had collected together to try and pass off as their own. So on the day of the wedding, Maria comes into the big wedding chapel at the hotel.
Just know, everybody.
Says, everybody, it's a fake baby.
It's a real baby, but it's not their baby.
It's not their baby. It's
Just
not a Photoshop
know,
baby.
if you ever put... Is it a sonogram?
Yes.
Or
I think that's right.
If you ever put a picture like that on the internet of your baby, it will be used
Just know.
by a soap character to fake their pregnancy.
So that was that amazing wedding episode, and then that was when they had the fight in the fountain, wasn't it? Eva and Maria, and then Jenny rocks up on her motorbike. That was an awesome episode. So Aidan dumps Eva's ass at the altar, and then when she goes up and nearly falls off the hotel roof, he's like, oh, sorry, let's be friends again. Speaking of roofs, though, when they get back to the street, that's when it is revealed that Adam and Eva have literally ripped off the factory by ripping off the roof, or having it. I don't even remember how they did it.
I don't know why you would do that.
For the spectacle, wasn't it?
It's not like somebody somewhere is going, oh, I really need a roof for my factory, but I'm not paying, like, new prices. I want a used roof.
What actually happened to the roof?
Plenty of good
it was
use
also
left in
Johnny
this
and
roof.
Jenny's wedding day, wasn't it? And they actually did get married, and Johnny carried Jenny over the threshold of the factory.
And there were, like, pigeons flying around.
A great reveal. I did not see that coming.
Their faces.
But it was great for us, but not so good for the Connors.
No.
So anyway, by the end of
my
2000...
thoughts on Connors have not changed.
Oh,
in
some
the
of them.
meantime, I haven't mellowed.
Some Connors we like.
I only like adopted Connors.
Anyway, Aidan ends 2017 basically destitute, homeless, womanless.
Yeah.
He is,
Adrift
on
in
the
the world.
road to being on his lowest ebb.
Yeah. In 2018, Carla, that's when she has her kidney troubles. And
because she came back either late 2017 or early 2018, didn't she? And
Yeah.
I'm going to come back story. I need a kidney, please. Anybody got any kidneys going?
Human ones, please. Aidan offers one of his kidneys to Carla. He has an operation, and one of the first clues that Aidan was not in his right state of mind was him breaking down in tears after the operation. And we spent a lot of time theorising about why this would be and what would it, is it relief? Is it, feeling sad, regretful?
The clues
what
leading
was
up
it?
to the suicide were so well done, and
Very
some people
subtle,
did put them together, didn't they? But it was so subtle that it was the sort of one where you could then look back afterwards and go, they've been telegraphing this all along and we just didn't notice it, because that was it, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. You're right. It was the point of it being you never can tell what's going on. Underneath some people.
And it's not like it was, oh, you're terrible because you didn't notice. If anybody kills themselves, it's your fault because of all the subtle clues that you missed. It wasn't even like that. It was just the desperately sad story of somebody who couldn't reach out, and the signs were there, but you wouldn't know to put them together. And because
that was, I think, February 2018, and I believe it was maybe even January 2018 where we'd seen him posting a letter in the letterbox outside Deb's, and then the next day retrieving it from the postman. And again, that pretty much completely
and that was
by.
Actually sponsored by the Royal Mail to prove how good their postal service is.
Next day delivery.
Not really.
Well, they didn't have to go very far, did it? 100 metres down the road.
If you were the postman, sometimes wouldn't you be a bit like, you lazy arsehole?
This has got to go all the way back to the sorting office.
This is actually bad for the environment.
Anyway, so the clues were there, but we didn't see it. But there are some great videos online, aren't there?
Put them all together,
Put them all together. But yeah, the kidney transplant episode was a really kind of, it's what made us stop and think and go, something's not right here. And it was obviously, it would be an emotional day. I don't remember what we said at the time, but it would have been an emotional day, but it just didn't feel right. Like, why is he literally inconsolable on his own in the room afterwards?
And it's still difficult
is
to
he
work
regretting
out
it? Is it the relief, or like you said, or what
he was crying about in the end? Like, was he crying because he thought, I wanted to die and I haven't yet, and so I'm relieved that I didn't take my own life before, I had this chance? Or is he crying because he's thinking, I was hoping I wouldn't wake up?
Yeah.
Or is he crying because he's thinking, well, now I've started my process of giving away the things I own that are valuable, which include my organs, and now I'm on the road of, well, not no return, because obviously you can live with only one kidney, but, you know, I've started a process that I perhaps will not...
Yeah, no coming
perhaps
back
will continue to the bitter end.
Well, he also starts, as you say, about giving things away. One of the things in that we notice
first
in
of all,
the spring.
Carla gives him the factory.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
he's
that's
also
right.
not very pleased about
I've
this.
forgotten about that one. No, he
doesn't really want
she
more
gives him that
responsibilities or reasons to stick around.
He's already got the weight of the world on
yeah.
top of him. This is when the factory's reopened again, and
Yeah.
Carla's like, "You can have it. I need to move on from this place. I want you to have it." And again, there was some more scenes in the late night in the factory office of him just looking overwhelmed by it all.
Yeah.
And he talks to Johnny about struggles. And he doesn't think he could face up to the responsibility of owning this place. And Johnny's just like, "Oh, you'll be fine. You'll be fine." But yeah, and then also that spring, yet another burden is landed on his shoulders when Eva tells him, "Actually, I am actually probably really, honestly, truly pregnant now, and it's definitely 100% yours."
How
honest.
often this seems to happen in Coronation Street, that a lady has a pregnancy or fakes a pregnancy, and then it doesn't happen, and then she does get
actually
pregnant.
does.
It's like the writer go, "Oh, there could be two outcomes to this. Why not both?"
So Aidan, who'd already in his mind mentally been going through the process of pulling away from life, couldn't cope with this, and he just denied it was his, or said, "I'm not. No, you got to get a DNA test. I can't have anything to do with this baby." And then he starts distracting himself by giving out gifts to various members of the street, a bit like Jack Duckworth.
I was just about to say that.
And
we literally we're talking about Jack Duckworth and how when he found out he had weeks left to live, spent his last few weeks just giving people money.
Well, Aidan ended up giving Summer. He said, like, "You take my credit card, go with Kate, I think, and then go on a shopping spree or get a dress for a prom or something."
Go buy yourself a robot.
He gave Liam this fancy watch that he wanted, which is, looking back on it, a bit of an odd present, because I don't know how many 8-year-old boys are really interested in getting fancy watches. But...
Yeah, and also, like, wouldn't you end up, at the age of 8, if you'd given me, I don't know, £1,000 to buy the best watch you could, I would end up with, like, a gold-plated Barbie watch.
Well,
it's not exactly going to stand the test of time.
That's what Aidan wanted.
Right.
So yeah, he's kind of doing his Good Samaritan bit, and then eventually in May, this was kind of mid-April, I think, and it was around about the time that the Digital Spy and the tabloids and everything were running the articles of what's going on with Aidan, and I think it was late April, like the last week of April, when it got revealed this is where the story's going, which we can come back to in a minute, because that was quite a time for me and you as well, wasn't it? So early May, he goes and visits Eva. She's at this time hidden herself away in some cottage. Where was she? It's in the countryside somewhere, wasn't it? So she could go and have her baby, because
she and Toya were plotting.
After the story last year where she was pretending she was pregnant when she wasn't, this was a story where she was pretending that she wasn't pregnant where she was, because she was going to give the baby to Toya, that's right. And that was another story that was just felt weird, but the way that it tied into this, it made sense in the end, didn't it?
I think it also gave Eva a chance to rehabilitate herself with you, because you certainly, by the time she left the show, you really, really liked that character.
I thought that I liked her.
Well, not according to what you said before. And the other thing is,
I thought I always loved Eva.
It gave Toya lots of opportunity to...
Yeah. So he goes and visits Eva in the secret cottage, and she's there. No, she's not. I don't think she is there with the baby. I think by this point she's given it to Toya, and he's seen the baby on the street, and he's seen in Toya's eyes that something's not quite right, because I think he went to take it one time, or he did hold the baby one time, and Toya's like, "No, you can't have this baby," because she knows that it was his, and he kind of gives Eva permission to do what she feels is best for the baby, doesn't he? He's like, "I know and you know
But it's fine.
But it's fine. I trust you.
I thought he kind of entered this kind of ethereal sense of zen, like everything is fine.
Yeah.
And they say that sometimes this does happen with people who are suicidal. When they've decided that they're going to take their own lives, they are sometimes very happy in the hours leading up to it because they feel that they're doing the right thing. And tragically, they're not, because they're leaving so many people behind.
Yeah, and Aidan has this really bittersweet final evening with Eva, doesn't he? And they have a dance there,
and she obviously has
crying.
no idea.
She's got no idea
what he's going to do.
No, because he then goes back to the Rovers, doesn't he? Because I think it's Johnny's leaving party because he's supposed to be going to Spain with Jenny.
Yeah.
And Aidan's just completely zoned out and detached, and this is the end of the preceding episode.
He certainly doesn't have a euphoric sort of revelation right before he does this.
It's
the
just
last
like
thing we see of him is very, very sad.
Yeah, because we see him firstly in the Rovers and everyone's talking around him, but he's just not taking it all in. And the camera kind of zooms into him, doesn't it? And then it cuts to him on his bed, absolutely...
On the sofa.
Was it on the sofa?
Yeah.
Was it? Yeah, absolutely floods of tears. And at the time, the viewers had been warned, this is what's going on here. But it was such a heart-wrenching end to an episode. But that almost pales in comparison to what came the next episode, when it was the hour-long special when everybody
finds out
about it.
And the most harrowing reaction was from Johnny, who finds him. He sees the suicide note, says don't go in the bathroom, and of course immediately he does, and finds the body and is wailing and wailing.
That moment still gives you chills,
I know,
doesn't it?
It makes me want to cry.
Yeah, because Aidan hadn't turned up at work,
so
Johnny goes round to the flat to find him, finds this note, and
horrible.
Just that I don't know how to describe the yelp.
Heart-wrenching,
it was, and throughout all of it, we don't know how Aidan did it either, did we? In Coronation Street, we're very careful not to.
Well,
and it's like it didn't matter.
There are various charities who provide information about how to talk about suicide in a way that won't trigger people. Because one thing we do know about suicide is that it sounds weird, but it is contagious. It can spread through groups of people, and you can be influenced to follow or copy somebody. So you won't find responsible reporting of suicide that includes things like the method of how they did it, because it encourages copycats, which is just a horrible thought, to think that somebody could be on the fence and then something like that pushes them over the edge. If you can save a life by not giving a detail, you should.
Coronation Street did it.
They were very, very responsible.
So well
this
and
was under
responsible
Kate Oates,
and respect.
I know she did a lot of work, and the charities worked with her as well.
Yeah, calm.
And there was are we gonna talk about?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say, if you got any notes about.
Oh, only a few notes. I haven't got very much to say about it.
I mean, in general, there was a marked increase in men seeking help from mental health charities, because this whole thing was not just about suicide, but about male mental health and how important it is, and how vulnerable men are as well as women. And it's easier for people to sympathise sometimes with women, but men are seemingly more susceptible.
Yeah, and the stats that were being bandied about were about how many men died from suicide every year, and how it's one of the the biggest killers among men. Yet people didn't really know. It wasn't a commonly known fact
because it's uncomfortable. We avoid things that make us uncomfortable, and unfortunately that has a negative effect and actually kills people.
Yeah, and Kate Oates and the rest of the higher ups at Coronation Street wanted to get people talking, get the word out there, and hopefully stop it from happening.
Yeah, well, I mean, Shane Ward worked with the charities as well. One of the people that I remember worked with them on this is CALM, which is the Campaign Against Living Miserably, who focus on male mental health, and I think today they are one of the Coronation Street's
Oh, yeah.
selected spokespeople for the 60th
They
anniversary.
are. We're recording this on
talking about
Tuesday.
Tuesday the 13th of October. They were featured as one of the
60 for 60
yeah.
little videos on social media.
And also, I've donated advertising space to them in the magazine that I work for because I think it's really important, and definitely the group of people who read the magazine I work on are in the group that are very vulnerable to, it's not even being vulnerable to mental health issues, it's being vulnerable to thinking that you don't deserve help, or you don't need help, or you're not the sort of person who could benefit from help. And that's not true at all.
No.
And there are people like these charities, like Calm, who are there to help you. And that's all they want to do.
Yeah. It was all done so well. I mean, the episode afterwards, it wasn't just the Johnny finding him bit that was well done. It was everyone else, and the fact that everybody on the street we saw reacting in different yet very believable and true to character ways.
Yeah, it was an interesting study in how it affects a community as well. Because you have Kate, his sister, was furious with him.
Yeah, calling him selfish.
Yeah, you had Beth, who also was not really emotionally involved, but still, I mean, I would have said a very popular response to suicide before recent times was to just say, well, you're very selfish if you want to kill yourself.
Yeah.
And it's sort of a unsympathetic reaction that I would hope that was spouted in order to discourage people, not to not sympathise, but perhaps to make people think twice before they do something, to go, oh no, people will think I'm selfish, I won't do it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, when you're that desperate and depressed and suicidal, you think it's the solution to your problem. You don't see it as a problem in itself. You think it's the only way. Yeah.
I think Carla at the time was just not reacting to it. I think, if I remember rightly, she was.
You should think this led to her mental breakdown.
Yeah, in a way, because that was a year later, but it was probably what started to trigger it.
So the seeds.
Johnny couldn't let Jenny in because she was trying to comfort him, but he wouldn't let her, and that eventually led to the affair with Liz, which was not so nice. But
it was a very wide-reaching story, and very true to real life in that it affected the survivors of this.
Yeah, definitely. And also it tied in with David's story, didn't it? Because this was the spring when he'd been raped by Josh, and then he was also maybe going to be going down that same dark path, but then almost Aidan's suicide snapped him out of it, gave him an epiphany about I need help, and I'm going to get help, and I want to live, and I want to be here for you, Shona, and for the kids and everything. It was just that episode was really, really, really great episode. It's so important.
It really leaves a dark stain on your soul, though. When I think about this, it really does feel so bleak and gritty in my memory.
Yeah, definitely. But like we said earlier, it certainly left a mark on the map, an Aidan-shaped mark on the map that would not have been there otherwise, because he'd been in the show 3-4 years, I can't remember now.
It wasn't
not very long at all.
Oh, in total, about that much.
Yeah, and his exit was announced, I think it was around about the same time as Kath Tilsley's, the previous Christmas sort of time. It was I think it might have been December 2017. And I was gutted when I heard that Eva was leaving, but I think with Aidan it was oh, okay, fine. He's not. I mean, he came and he's gone. But yeah, little did we know how big his departure would be, and even sort of in the couple of months before it, Shane Ward had been giving interviews saying, "Look, you're going to be shocked by my exit. It's related to something underlying in Aidan, something that maybe people don't realise about him." He said he's a troubled soul and he's always been trying to prove himself to his dad, his family, but things kept on going wrong for him. And it does make you sad that, I mean, we made fun of Aidan a bit before and saying he's a bit useless. He's a bit of a, bubbling fool, really.
Horrible people, aren't they?
Yeah, and obviously we weren't saying it to him, but it just
He's
goes
not a
to...
real person.
He's not a real person.
It didn't affect Aidan, what we said about him on a podcast. That's why I like doing the show, really, because you can bitch about people and they're not real.
But yeah, it just when you listen back to what some of the things we used to say, it was like, well, if in the fictional world of Weatherfield, other people thought that about Aidan as well, then
this is why
all of
it's
that
really
would tie
important.
into those dark feelings in
But
him.
this is why it's so important to create an internal sense of confidence that doesn't rely on external sort of opinions. Like, you really need to cultivate self-worth and self-belief before you seek validation externally, because if you do chase that, you're going to find it very difficult when you don't get it.
Yeah, and I've definitely seen in the last 2 or 3 years an increased importance given to mental health everywhere.
Well, yes.
And that all ties into this as well, doesn't it?
Well, yes.
What do you mean?
I don't want to give credit to anyone,
Well, no, I'm not saying it's all because of...
I'm not saying it's all because of Coronation Street, because the thing I'm thinking of is the Duchess of Cambridge, who started her mental health charity work and pushed people to talk about it.
Yeah,
more.
It's all part of the
There's
tide.
a massive kind of like the zeitgeist and the way that we think about things now is pushing more towards protecting mental health and understanding that mental health is just as important as physical health. And if you break your leg, you go to the doctor, and if you've got something wrong in your brain, you wouldn't necessarily.
Yeah.
Because you think,
I'm just being pathetic. I'm just put my ideas up. Exactly. Oh dear.
So yes, so Coronation Street, the royal family in various ways, other charities, workplaces, the government. I mean, they've tried to promote mental health, and looking after yourself and being unafraid to speak up and seek help when you need it.
Yeah.
But there's still a stigma around it, and particularly for men.
Yeah, I think also that a test for Coronation Street will be what will happen the next time they decide to do a suicide story, because they can't sensationalise it.
It's very difficult about
after this.
Like, suicide was always a sort of dramatic plot device, and it's only recently that people are trying to think more responsibly about what it means to tell a story about suicide and what effect it has on people, and is it actually going to help anybody. Coronation Street likes to do issues-based storylines, and very often they're beneficial, not just to educate people, but to provide solace for people who are going through the same thing, and sort of help shine the spotlight on charities. If you're not doing that with a story as important as a suicide story, there's no point in doing it. It's irresponsible.
Yeah.
And other media have told stories about suicide in an incredibly irresponsible way, and you can link it to an increase in suicides in the target audience group.
Yeah.
You have to be so careful, and you have to look after yourself as well, and you have to try and spot these things and try to take control. But it's no one's fault as well. It's really, really difficult.
Yeah.
You just have to be compassionate to yourself as much as you would be to any stranger. If you were walking across a bridge and you saw somebody ready to jump, your instinct would be to save that person. So you should be as kind to yourself as you would be to a random human that you know nothing about.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Thank you.
So Aidan left with 368 episodes under his belt. Well, 366, I think, because I think he made a couple of posthumous appearances on a video form. He gave the
factory to Alia, didn't he?
He did. He gave the factory to Alia because he'd had in his will, I give my shares of the factory to Alia, but that was before he'd had the whole factory given to him. So and Alia ended up with the whole factory, and then
just to point
she kind of bumbles
here,
around a little bit until she realises she gets kind of guilt tripped from beyond the grave by Aidan, who appears on a video that some student was making a documentary or something
How
about
convenient.
Aidan or about transplants or something, and she delivers the video to the factory, and Aidan's there saying, "Oh, my family's so important to me," and I was like, I suppose I give the factory back then.
But I just want to make another point here about suicide, and it might be surprising to some people that he didn't update his will before, even if he knew he was planning to take his own life. And he didn't leave a note that explained why he did it. And he left a note to say don't go in the bathroom, but he didn't say I decided to do this because. And actually, the vast majority of people don't leave notes and don't necessarily update that because they're not thinking logically. If you were thinking logically, you probably wouldn't do it.
Yeah. And and that is it for Aidan. And Shane, I do wish him the very best of luck in his future acting career because he did show. I always thought he was pretty solid, and then towards the end he showed what he really could do. But he's not gone on to do loads since. He's been in a couple of films.
Even that.
I don't think they've done particularly well. I really do wish him the best luck, and I look forward to seeing what else that he can get his teeth into once this situation's all over.
It's not just even that he gave a good performance, but it's also that he was willing to take on such a difficult topic and champion it and shoulder that burden a little bit, because it is a difficult thing to be responsible for. And he took that responsibility on and said, I will portray this to the best of my ability for people that need this story to be told.
Yeah, because it'd
be easy to say, oh no, I don't want to do it, it's too hard, I don't want to be responsible, I don't want to.
Yeah, because I think it was like Kate Oates that came up to him and said, look, I've got this idea, this is going to mean you leaving, what do you think of this? And you're right, he could have said, I don't think I can do that.
No, just kill me off any other way, or I'll leave and come back.
But he saw that it was important, he took the risk, and
and also saw that Aidan was a very good character to do this story about.
Really,
because
was.
He was a very unlikely person. Well, yes and no, because he seemed to be an unlikely person because he didn't seem to really, be depressed, and he's a lad, and lads should just get on with it.
Yeah,
but we know
point,
that actually, he was the perfect person because...
Bit of an everyman, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
there we go. That's the story of Aidan.
The story of Aidan Connor.
A very sad tale.
Absolutely,
but
absolutely.
One we
made
can
a lot of people
learn
think.
From.
Yeah.
# speak and save.
Exactly. Thank you, Summer. Right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Bye-bye for now.